All right. Welcome back to the world-famous Tippatinas. Thank you so much to Tippatinas for allowing us to use the space. Thank you to Nugs.net for letting us use the equipment, and I hope you're enjoying this on Tippatinas TV. Now, I have something very special to report. For a number of interviews, I've been asking people to go ahead and write in letters, not just send emails, because I've been getting emails, and thank you so much for the emails, but I've been asking people to write actual letters, and I will send an actual sticker back, and I'm happy to report we've got our first letters.
I didn't see that email.
No, well,
what email list was that going out on?
Not on an email list. You have to watch the program. Sorry, I haven't even introduced you yet. You're not on
Okay,
camera, so
sorry.
pretend like you're not here.
Okay.
2 letters, as a matter of fact. One day I hope to have a giant mail sack like on those old movies and dump it out across the table. But I want to go ahead and just read them quickly. Sorry,
Okay.
I know you're not in a hurry. First letter came yesterday.
From my mother.
No, not from your mother. From a Mr. Troy Bevilacqua in Santa Rosa, California. Troy Bevilacqua writes, "Hello, Brian Tank Greenberg. Thank you for putting together and continuing to offer the All Right broadcast. It's a real treat to get the opportunity to hear from these artists in an authentic manner. I love turning on an interview while I'm dabbling on a project or doing chores and being entertained with funny tales and authentic stories. I rarely get to travel to New Orleans to catch live music, maybe only once every 4 to 6 years. It's been nearly 4 years since my last visit. Your show allows me to stay somewhat connected to the New Orleans music scene, which is really cool. I must say, your show totally gives me the itch to plan my next trip back. I'll be watching the Tips calendar for sure. Lastly, a special thanks for the George Porter Jr. interview. I only discovered the Meters maybe 15 years ago. I still have a lot to learn about their history as a band and also of the individual members. Living legend in my mind, Troy Bevilacqua, Santa Rosa, California. Congratulations, you get yourself a sticker."
Yay, Troy.
And the second one from Dan Frybush. Dan Frybush, I've known for a few years, and it turns out does not live here, and props to him for sending a stamped envelope with his address written on it. He's ready to receive himself a sticker as well. Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for all you've done in doing to keep the... Sorry, this is actually handwritten, so it's tougher to read.
Well, props for snail mail.
I know, right? Dude, we are single-handedly going to keep the post office in business. Between these letters and the Tippatinas Record Club, we're going to save the United States Post Office right here at Tippatinas. Having recently moved from New Orleans, the All Right broadcasts are so entertaining, and I feel connected. Hope to come back to Tips one day and say hi in person. Thanks for all your time and effort. Again, Dancing Dan. Moving to Maryland. It's sad that he moved to Maryland, but Dan was a regular here when he lived not that far away. So congrats, Dan. You get yourself a sticker as well.
Way to go, Dan.
So I am happy to report that we do have 2 letters. It's working. I guarantee tomorrow I will write you guys letters and drop them in the mail. So on to the actual program. Oh, and by the way, 501 Napoleon Avenue. The All Right broadcast, care of Tippatinas at 501 Napoleon Avenue, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70115. Send me a letter. I'll read it on the program and send you a sticker in return. Now, on to the actual program itself. My guest today is someone we've been trying to get since day one. Before I do any sort of introduction, I have to give a big thank you to the person who made this interview possible, my mother.
Say it.
My mother. Thank you so much for helping out on this one, Mom. I love you. For the audience that is likely confused about that part, Ben doesn't necessarily love interviews. I think some people might know that. He's been dodging me for months, and he said he wouldn't do this interview unless I was able to interview everyone else in Galactic first, and I think he only said that because he didn't believe all the other guys would actually do it. Needless to say, when I finally got them all done, he still kept dodging me.
True.
It wasn't until my mother asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I thought it would be hilarious if I dropped the Jewish mom guilt bomb, and it worked. And here's what she wrote. Ben, yesterday I was talking to my son Brian about his All Right broadcast. He mentioned you were the only member of Galactic that he hasn't been able to get on the program. Since Brian has a birthday coming up, I thought it would be a great birthday present for you to do an interview with him. I'm sure you know moms are always trying to get their sons special birthday presents. Thank you, and kind regards, Linda.
And checkmate.
Yes. And he texted me that night and said, "Damn, you got moms involved. This is serious." Your response to my mother was very sweet. Well played, well played. I was going to have my mother respond, which would have been hilarious if our mothers were corresponding back and forth to get this done, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But needless to say, thank you so much for being a great here. My guest tonight has collaborated with countless artists in the studio, both performing with them and producing them. If you're a fan of New Orleans music, you have no doubt enjoyed many songs he's helped craft. He's played thousands of shows and melted the face of millions of people for over 25 years, performing all over the world. He's a former employee of this place, and now he is one of our benevolent owners. Please help me welcome the lovely and talented Ben Ellman.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was a mouthful, getting all that
Yeah,
stuff out.
yeah.
I did a lot of reading.
Yeah. Well, I just want to back up and say I'm happy to be here.
Okay, thank you for
I am.
being here.
I
Thank
am.
you
It was
for being
nothing
here.
personal. It was just a game.
I know. It was fun. Before we get started with all the questions, how do you like being the owner of a music venue? Is it everything you thought it would be?
Well, ask me next year.
Okay.
You know.
I know you said you want to do regular format for this interview, and I think I want to try something different and new with you. First of all, anyone who might not notice, we have a chessboard out here. You're a fan of chess, right?
I am, but you know what? I'm looking at your paper and I see 29 individual questions.
Yeah, but that's just page 1. I have
Oh,
4
my God.
more.
Oh my God.
I
I should have kept my mouth shut.
Yes, you should have kept your mouth shut. You might want to take another sip of that. You like to play chess, and it is 420, the holiday for all kinds of brilliant stoners out there that obviously couldn't possibly smoke pot the other 364 days of the year, so today is special for some reason. But I happen to be gifted this stonerware chess set a long time ago, and I've held on to it, and it's in great condition. If you'd like, we can just casually play a game of chess while we're doing this. You're a good chess player, though, aren't you? Before I start moving.
I would not say good chess player. I will say that I play regularly.
Okay, that
But
in
I
my
can't,
mind,
you
that's
know.
good. I don't play regularly, definitely not against people. I'll try and keep up, but I guarantee you will probably beat me. But anyways, before we go too far with this, we probably won't even get this finished in time because it'll take forever. I want to try something new with you. 100 questions with Ben Ellman.
Oh,
100. Some of these are going to be rapid
Can
fire.
I just pass?
If you want, but
Okay,
these are,
good.
dude, they're not going to be hard questions.
Okay.
These are going to be fun. In the game, we don't have to necessarily play the game. We can play if we have time left over before you have to go, oh, man, this is real. All right.
I'm going to throw you off.
Yeah, absolutely.
You sure you want to do that?
I'm not sure I want to do that. I'm actually not going to be thinking about it. I'm just going to move in reaction without actually planning ahead.
All right.
And I'm going to try and distract you anyways. And the pieces are weird.
I have
so
no idea what these pieces are. I just
they're
if
all in
people
place.
at home can't see.
Yeah, that pipe is the rook. The hash pipe looking one, that's the knight. Yeah.
Yeah.
The joint is the bishop. The hookah is the queen. The bong is the king.
The bong is the king.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Some of these are going to be rapid fire, easy, whatever else. Others, if there's a funny story, please feel free to
All right, let's
tell
roll.
the story. Question 1, where were you born?
Los Angeles,
When were you born?
1970.
What day?
I have no idea. February 2nd.
Yeah, I
I'm
was gonna
sorry.
say
I thought you
the
meant
date.
day of the week. Sorry. I thought we were getting deep. I was like, shit, man.
February 2nd.
Groundhog's Day.
Yeah, Groundhog's Day. That's
Yes.
right. Can you name 3 famous people that were also born on February 2nd?
I can only name one that I know of for sure, which is Farrah Fawcett.
Correct. I would have accepted Solomon Guggenheim, James Joyce, Ayn Rand, Graham Nash, Christy Brinkley.
Christy Brinkley.
Yeah,
And
Christy-
Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah,
See,
totally.
good-looking people. born on
Robert
Labor Day.
DeLeo of Stone Temple Pilots. Was he
Okay.
the guitar player or the bass player? I don't remember. And Shakira.
Wow. Well, you've done your research.
Yeah, dude. 5 pages. Yeah. Where did you grow up? In Los Angeles?
I grew up in West Los Angeles.
Okay.
Yep.
What was the music scene like when you were growing up? Where you were growing up and when you were growing up?
Well, when I was young, I obviously wasn't really into it. But as when I became a teenager and I started getting into music, it was amazing because my favorite bands growing up were Oingo Boingo and Red Hot Chili Peppers. I saw Red Hot Chili Peppers in tiny little clubs and had friends who went to high school with them, so I knew them before they had a big break.
Were there a
And
lot of like all ages clubs for you to be able to catch?
There were
music?
some, yeah. There were
Okay.
definitely some.
That wasn't one of my questions. I'm going to do that intermittently. Also.
Okay.
Are you a bar mitzvah?
I was bar
What's your
mitzvah.
Torah portion?
I don't remember, but I remember the first line of it.
What is it?
Uv kutarchem et chashiratechem lo betamin.
What does that mean?
I have no idea. I never knew. You know, I mean, do you know you had a bar mitzvah?
Yeah, I did.
Do you know what you would? I mean, of course, at the time.
I don't remember
had
the
a
Hebrew,
translation.
but mine's an easy one to remember because it was the 10 Commandments.
Oh, okay.
I had a Shavuos, or Shavuot was the weekend of my bar mitzvah.
Looking back on my bar mitzvah, though, I think it was like a really strange process in which they make children memorize the Hebrew, but you know, it's like you memorize a portion, but you don't really know, you know, like you're 13. I wasn't, you know, speaking Hebrew. I knew how to read phonetically Hebrew at the time, but I didn't really know Hebrew. And of course, like they sent me home with a cassette tape that you memorize. So I thought that was kind of a strange process of. I mean, it was
because you're not
a
supposed to do
ritual.
that.
I
You're
get the
supposed
ritual.
to learn to actually read it, not just memorize it. That's the
Yeah.
so family story.
Well,
My-
yeah, you
I
have to
two
learn
older
how
brothers.
to chant it, though. You know, right?
Oh, did you have to chant yours?
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
those savages! I can't believe
Yeah.
they would make you do that. I did not go to that kind of synagogue.
Yeah.
Do you have any other musicians in your family?
Well, my father plays piano. I mean,
for
not
real?
a professional musician, but he was a counselor at a performing arts camp. So he was more of a theater guy. You know, I would say musician for sure. Show tunes and stuff like that. I grew up definitely in a musical family with like show tunes and sitting around the piano, singing stuff.
Do you have a favorite show tune?
I don't know.
Did you have a favorite when you were a kid, at least? Was there one that you just like caught on, the first one that made you like it, or anything like that?
Strangely enough, I don't know why, but it really affected me when I saw it. But a chorus line, I don't know why.
Never saw it.
It was really weird. It was just maybe a '70s LA thing.
Okay.
You know, when it came out, but you know, we watched all of them: West Side Story and Carousel
Yeah.
and all of those. You know, we did them all.
But I mean, your father probably would play it in the house every once in a while. People would
Yeah.
come over. or
He
something.
loved to sit at the piano and play and sing.
Okay.
So
Did you play any piano as a kid?
I took lessons for a little bit, but I didn't really continue with them.
All right. When did you start playing the saxophone?
I didn't start playing the saxophone until I was 18.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Wow. What made you?
I started playing the harmonica when I was 15, and that just sort of led into the saxophone.
All right.
You know, but there was going back to like the piano lessons. I was kind of forced into piano lessons that I didn't really want to take, and so for years I kind of just felt like I was never going to play music because I just hated the piano lessons at that time in my life, of course,
Yeah.
you know. But when I got a harmonica and started getting into the blues, it was just kind of changed, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Oh, that's phenomenal. Do you have a favorite sax player?
I have a few.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rattle them off. Just a
I
handful.
love Junior Walker.
Okay.
You know, I always kind of, and I love like R&B and blues and like honkin' music. You know, I love Archie Shepp and David Murray.
All right.
And my progression was sort of like blues and into like, we'll start as a young kid, really sort of into like punk and stuff like that. A lot of young kids, and then moved into like blues and then jazz, and I liked a lot of sort of like free jazz and experimental type stuff like that. So when I got a saxophone, I was kind of like, I could do this. I was so confused.
For sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Here's a trivia question. Who invented the saxophone?
Adolph Sax.
When?
I don't know.
All right. It was 1846, patented in Paris, as a matter of fact. In case you didn't know. Why don't sax players like the soprano saxophone?
Who said that?
I just did. Yeah.
They call it
joke.
a forbidden horn. You know what? Truth be told,
Okay, go
it's
ahead.
because it's very difficult to make it sound beautiful. You
All
know,
right.
I mean, you have like your smooth jazz guys, you know, that do that thing, but I think ultimately it's just hard to make it sound not annoying. You know, and I don't want to say there's very few players that could really, you know, in my opinion, there's very few players that I enjoy listening to on the
Well,
soprano
that's fair.
saxophone.
That's
Yeah.
fair. Ultimately, that was a joke question. Why people don't like soprano sax?
But it's true. They do. They have. It is called the forbidden horn in a lot of circles.
That is not the punchline, however. The answer is because you can't stash drugs inside it.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah, sorry, that one fell flat. What was your favorite band as a teenager?
As a teenager, well, as a young teenager, I loved, like I said, the Red Hot Chili
Yeah, the
Peppers.
Chili
That
Peppers
was my
and Oingo
band, you
Boingo,
know.
like
yeah,
right there in LA, just being able to see them at
yeah.
that age.
X, I loved X. Those
Yeah.
are bands I used to go see. I mean, that kind of all changed when I discovered like blues and started playing harmonica and stuff like that. But
There was no like early hero icon like that switched you over at all.
I mean, when I first heard, as a musician, when I first heard Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee, that's the thing that really kind of flipped my lid because I'd been playing harmonica and when I needed a record, I needed to learn more harmonica. I went to Rhino Records, which was a record shop in LA at the time.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people heard of Rhino Records, but it was this killing record store in LA, and asked the dude who worked there, like, hey, I just started playing harmonica. What do I need to listen to? And he pulled a James Cotton record out, and that was like my first record that I sat down with and studied and tried to like copy all the harmonica stuff.
How old were you? Like 15, 16?
I was, like 15.
All
I
right.
was 15. But then when I heard Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee, which is a totally different kind of style of blues, country blues, and a totally different approach to the harmonica, that really flipped my lid. You know?
All right.
Yeah.
What was the first time you performed in public?
It's funny, there's a guitar shop in Los Angeles called McCabe's. And really famous. They had like a lot of folk concerts and stuff there. And they had an open mic night, and I played bongos. With, so I go back, my childhood friend who I moved here with is Jonathan Freilich. You probably know, musician.
Yeah, he's an artist
He's an incredible musician in New Orleans that does a million things.
Is he in Klezmer's with you?
He started the Klezmers
yeah.
and the Naked Orchestra and a million other bands. He was in Mas Mamones and so he was sort of my friend who turned me on to a lot of this music. He turned me on to the Sonny Terry and Brandon McGee and such. But we played an open mic night at McCabe's.
What was he playing?
He played guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, and we played a song by Traffic. I don't know why. I can't remember why, but but that definitely was, and I'll always remember it like first time on stage. You know? Yeah.
Well, expound on that. Was it good? Was it bad?
It was pretty horrible, but
Were you the worst band or group that went up that day?
I can't really remember any other group that day. But I do know it's like I think at the same time that I got harmonica, I got like a pair of professional bongos, and I thought I was going to be a percussion player for a while. So that was sort of something I was trying to work out. So, but that was my first time on stage, and I remember being scared, you know, but yeah, it was fun, and because it's a legendary place, you know, it was guitars on the wall, and I had already seen concerts there. I saw John Hammond play there, and Brownie McGee, and I saw the weirdest show I've ever seen in my life there, which was a trio of Charlie Hayden, who is the stand-up bass player, played with Ornette Coleman, Shuggy Otis, who you know, Shuggy Otis. You should know. He's a great, he put out...
I don't listen to music.
He put out a great album. He put out this great album, a legendary album in the 70s, and Ginger Baker on drums.
Okay.
It was like the weirdest trio ever, and it was just this legendary show that fell apart, and everyone yelled at each other, and it was amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
What was the first album you bought or remember buying?
First album I bought was LTD, Back in Style Again. I saw him on Soul Train, and I made my dad take me to the record store and sung it to the guy, and he pulled it out. It was a 45, you know. That's cool. And to this day, I love that song still. You know, it's a killing song.
No, that's awesome. What was the last record you bought?
Man, I mean, you know, Spotify. I don't know, it's hard, you know.
Well, you
haven't really bought a record. Oh, actually, funnily enough, I bought a CD a few days ago on eBay because I heard something on OZ that just like made me pull over, and it was a George French album.
Really?
It was George French and Todd Duke doing, was it like What a Wonderful World, or it was a duet, but George French's voice always stops me in my tracks.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a wonderfully musical family for sure.
Yeah. I mean, his voice is like, it's like Lou Rawls or something. He's a baritone.
Yeah.
But I tried to find it online. I couldn't find it online, and actually like paid $2 for a CD on eBay. And I have to find a CD player now.
That's it. Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't have a CD player anymore?
I do not.
Okay.
Actually, in my car. In my car, I have.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we have one laying around here somewhere.
Yeah.
You mentioned your friend Jonathan, so go ahead and let's lead to that story. Why did you move to New Orleans?
Well, my path was Los Angeles to Santa Cruz, and I lived in Santa Cruz. Jonathan and I moved to Santa Cruz from LA together. We went to community college up there. And I was there in '89 for the Loma Prieta earthquake, if you remember that. I don't know.
Was that the one during the Super Bowl?
No, during the World Series,
Yeah,
exactly,
I was
where the
watching
Bay
it on
Bridge
TV. Yeah.
And the epicenter was like 20 miles from Santa Cruz, so it totally flattened Santa Cruz.
Yeah, that's right.
And at the time, I think everyone in Santa Cruz got FEMA had just started, and I got $1,000 from FEMA, and at that time it was just this like pile of money.
Yeah.
So You know, what are a couple slackers going to do? But road trip to New Orleans.
Was that for real? Like
Yeah.
There was set out with the goal in mind to just
Yeah, we
Just
had
come on
it
vacation?
was like a summer road trip that we were going to do, and we're going to stop in Chicago where I have some family and some friends, and then come down to New Orleans and we stay with a family friend. And basically that's what happened. I took that FEMA money, came down here, and never left.
wow, for real.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. Describe the crappiest New Orleans home you've ever lived in.
Crappiest New Orleans home I ever lived in. Well, there was a couple. I mean, it depends. There's like the level of crappiness now, looking back at it, like I lived on this house right on Napoleon in between Perrier and Coliseum,
Okay.
which now is a multi-million-dollar house. But at the time,
Yeah,
they had redone it. But at the time, it was messed up. There were termites. I remember termites coming through the walls, and we had mice and roaches, and it was a musician slacker pad.
Would you say that's the worst piece of crap you had to live in here?
In New Orleans, in Santa Cruz, it was much worse. In Santa Cruz,
No
I lived in a
kidding.
closet. I lived in a closet in a kitchen that had like just a curtain to block it off. Like it was
Wow.
a pantry closet that I actually put a bed in.
Wow.
And so that was probably like the crappiest place I've ever lived in, really. But it was all fun back then when you're young. It was, it was
but
great.
It's feasible. It's
Yeah.
feasible. Yeah.
And in New Orleans, I never really had like crappy house. It was like, slacker musician houses. But, what's a crappy house? The house,
I slept in a closet here on Coliseum. So, yeah.
that house, not to jump any potential questions, but that house was 3 blocks from here. And when I lived there was when I was working here.
Okay.
And that was the beauty of that house, was I could just walk here all the time. I worked here 2 days a week, and I got in for free every show that I wanted because I worked here 2 days a week.
Yeah.
So that was and the rent was my share was like $130 or something a month.
Yeah, it used to be affordable.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
live in a piece of crap.
So
it
it
cost
was
me nothing.
Yeah. So it was still like, even though it was like a crappy place, it was still amazing. And it was on the parade route and everything.
Oh yeah.
So
It's,
it was
it's,
fun.
it's still good living even in a crappy home.
Yeah.
What was your first gig in New Orleans?
My first gig in New Orleans.
Musical.
Okay.
Musical.
Well, it's kind of a toss-up between Jonathan and I. When we first came here, we were doing. We kind of worked our way down from Chicago. We were playing music. We sort of had a Brownie McGee, Sonny Terry type thing.
So
where-
you were already playing. Like, was this a regular thing that you guys had been doing for a while? You did like you said, the bongos. and
Yeah,
the
it kind
drums.
of morphed into a country blues thing with Jonathan playing guitar and I was playing harmonica, and I wasn't really playing bongos, and we were traveling and we were busking like on our road trip down here from Santa Cruz, just busking, trying to make some money. We didn't have a lot of money, obviously, but
You had that $1,000.
we had the $1,000, but yeah, that was supposed to last quite a long time. So actually, it's true. We did have some money. We were still busking because why not, And when we got here, in a lot of cities, we would look and find blues jams. Like every city had a bar that had a blues jam. And when we got to New Orleans, we found it, and it was at the Howlin' Wolf when the Howlin' Wolf was in Fat City.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So
yeah, it must have been. Yeah.
Yeah, this was '89, and we went down and we played that one, and I don't know how long it took, but eventually we did that for a few weeks. We would show up every week, and then we got offered to be like what they called the host of the blues jam. So you were like the star of the blues jam.
Yeah.
I guess you got to play a longer set or something like that. I guess I don't really know what it is.
Was there any money in it?
No, there was no money in it.
Okay.
There's no money in it. So my first paid gig, which is part of the bigger story, I guess, is what kept me in New Orleans, is we used to play. We would go down and sit in. I'd been playing saxophone for maybe about a year now or so, a couple of years maybe at the most.
Yeah.
And we would go down. There was a jam session at Little People's Place, which is in Tremé, which is on the corner of Barracks and Tremé.
Okay.
And it was Kermit. It was Kermit's jam session, and it was when Kermit. I think he was still in the Rebirth, or maybe it was right before he left. But it was when he was just starting his own band.
Okay.
Outside of doing his sort of jazz thing, And he put together a band that was sort of like the house band for the jam session, which was Davis Rogan, where I first met Davis Rogan.
All right. That's DJ Davis.
DJ Davis, another guy called the Doug. You remember Doug? He used to do a lot of posters for Tippatinas back in the day.
I don't think so.
I'm spacing on his last name, but he
It
was a
might be
great
someone that
baritone
I've
player.
met. I don't
Also, a dude who was later in a band called All That.
Okay.
Remember All That?
All that. No, they had broken up by the time I moved here.
Yeah.
I'm fairly positive they had. I didn't move here till 2000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bass player named Arthur Kassler, who was original member of the New Orleans Klezmer Allstars, and Jerry, the drummer, who still plays with Kermit. But I went to go sit in there, and I did a couple weeks of sitting in, and 1 week I met Corey Henry, who came in, and he was the leader of a band called the Little Rascals Brass Band, and he invited me to come do a gig with him, like a wedding. He said they needed a saxophone player, and invited me to come, so I did it. And that was my first paid gig, I think, in New Orleans, and it was amazing, and I had so much fun. And then he just kept calling me for gigs, and it was probably summertime, I think. So they played every day in the French Quarter in Jackson Square. So he said, "Come down to the Square and work with us." And so I started going to the Square and playing those gigs and making pretty good money, especially for me at the time.
Yeah.
And that's basically what kept me, in New Orleans, was just having that gig with Corey Henry. I mean, I kind of could. All fingers point to Corey Henry. Like if I hadn't met Corey Henry, I probably wouldn't be sitting here with you today.
Still be playing bongos.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Side note for that, like, you had just kind of abandoned Jonathan? I mean, he was a guitar player. There's no need for a guitar player.
No,
in
I mean
that
we eventually started the Klezmer Allstars,
Okay. All
which
right.
started at Caldy's Coffee House, which is before your time as well. But it was on Decatur, which was a great place where a lot of music was happening. Early days of Frenchman, Cafe Brazil. We had a weekly at Cafe Brazil, which really solidified the band. Or like early days of Frenchman,
Nice,
It was fun.
Yeah, back when Frenchman was still a little stabby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Who was the first band you saw at Tippatinas?
I can't remember, but in my mind, I'm going to say Neville Brothers or something like that, because I can't really remember exactly who. But I know when I first started coming here, I couldn't really afford to get in, and I would hang out by the front door, and then religiously, after the second set started, by the second or third song, they'd cut the cover.
Yeah, the last 30, 45 minutes tend to be free, yeah.
I mean, like, literally, the second set would start, and like clockwork, second song in, boom, they just opened the door, So I saw a lot of music that way, and that was when this is kind of pre-House of Blues, so Tippatinas was really getting like all the national touring acts. There wasn't really like another venue that was getting all the touring stuff. So there was just amazing things rolling through here,
All right. You famously worked in the kitchen. Of
By the way, I
Tippatinas.
just want to back up saying I am wearing
Is that your first
my
Tippatinas
original 19. I'm going to say 90 at this point. 1990 work shirt, which I still own. This is OG.
Dude, the logo held together pretty good for 30 years.
Yeah, and look at that. I know.
That's pretty great.
I wore this also at the signing.
The font looks
For
weird.
the closing. Yeah. We're going to work on it.
That's an inside joke, like I said, famously worked in the kitchen. What's the best thing you cooked while working in the kitchen here?
All right, now I have some kitchen stories. Well, my kitchen thing is when I worked here, it was when the owners were Jim and Micha.
Yes, yeah.
And
This was the second version of ownership, yeah.
and I might be mistaken, but I think they came from being restaurant owners, maybe in Texas or something like that.
I don't know for sure, because I think Jim might be in Alabama or Florida.
Well, he's in
right
Florida now.
Florida,
I
yeah.
know he's
that's
in
right.
Perdido Key. I've seen him. He has a restaurant out there.
Yeah, no, that's what I've heard.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
why I was assuming maybe just east, not west, is where they're from.
Yeah, but I think they came from Houston.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. And so they had come and they had brought a bunch of stuff. I mean, when I first started, they had a regular menu of burgers and cheese fries.
Yeah, it wasn't a heavy menu.
Chicken.
Yeah.
Like that was it. Like the whole menu was cheese fries, burger, chicken. They had a grill, so it wasn't a flat top. And then I don't know where they sourced it, but they had a supplier that brought them these giant tubs of etouffee and gumbo. And then we also used Zatarain's jambalaya mix. So we had
Okay.
Jambalaya, etouffee, and gumbo at all times as well. Not homemade, but actually quite respectable. It was pretty decent.
Yeah.
And so one of the jobs being in the kitchen was feeding the bands, which was always a thrill. Like, you have to come early, post sound check kind of thing, and feed the band. If you played here, you could just order whatever you wanted off the menu, as much as you wanted. So people would be like, let me give you an etouffee and a gumbo and a burger. No problem, like whatever you wanted. But at some point, they had a restaurant that they closed, and they brought in an extra like ice chest thing full of all this food that I guess they had from their restaurant, and in it were like multiple boxes of soft shell crabs. So there was a period where I was cooking soft shell crabs. It was not on the menu, sort of off menu stuff for my friends and people who worked here. But the one thing I did do was I would make some like weird off menu things. Like I like the grilled chicken. I made a teriyaki chicken, which wasn't on the menu either. You know, we had soy sauce, we had honey.
Yeah.
You know, so I would always like kind of try to do weird things like that. You know, it was fun. And I layered my cheese fries. That's the famous story.
Okay.
Like are cheese fries still a thing?
What do you mean, are cheese fries still a thing?
I mean,
your sweet ass cheese fries are still a thing.
At F&M's and stuff?
Probably. I don't know. I haven't been to
When was the last time you had cheese fries?
You know what? The last time I had cheese fries was. I live. I'm not going to say where I live. There's a restaurant near where I live.
Fat Harry's.
No, but I love their cheese fries with debris. So
with debris.
I'd say probably once a month.
Wow.
Yeah, like I do get that.
I noticed at the time that the way most people made cheese fries is you make the cheese, you just you make the fries, you throw a bunch of cheese on it, put it under a heat lamp, and it melts. But of course, I was the dude who layered them. You know, so
that's how you
took
make
a little
good
pride.
nachos as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I took pride in my cheese fries.
That's fair. That's good. Oh, good for you. And it's funny you say that. Like, I have since, and I have it on my desk right now. I found invoices for like bags of 30 pounds of shrimp or whatever else. So at some point in the
we did have
90s,
shrimp. There was some. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say after your time working here, there was a time when they were buying fresh seafood.
Yeah. I remember boxes of frozen seafood, not fresh seafood, but
Well, I
box
just
of
say
frozen
that
shrimp.
it could be frozen. I just
Yeah.
saw an invoice for 25 pounds of shrimp, and it cost however much. It was like nothing back then, obviously.
Yeah.
Because it was 1994. I asked you what the best thing you cooked. I guess the cheese fries would probably be the one thing that people might say was the best thing.
Well, like I said, there was a little bit of love put in my cheese fries,
Okay.
comparatively to some of the other cooks.
But that was okay. That's fair. What was the worst thing you cooked while working here?
Well, there were red beans right out the can, which I really didn't like. I mean, at the time I didn't know how to make proper red beans, but they had they used to give away free red beans at the Fay Dodo on Sunday.
Yeah, no, we brought that tradition back.
Oh, good, yeah.
Yeah.
So there was giant
Yours
cans
truly
of Blue
cooks
Runners.
cooks the Blue Runners. Yeah.
You cook the Blue Runners? How do you
Yeah.
do? In a can, or you mean like from raw beans?
No. I don't have that kind of time. I dump out 3 of the giant cans into the biggest pot that I own. I add andouille. I do a trinity. Like, it's legit. I add pickled pork. Like,
Oh, wow, okay.
These are respectable red beans that I make. Rice, I could give a about the rice just because, like, I just as soon forget the rice and just eat the red beans. That's personal opinion. But I can make respectable red beans out of Blue Runners in the can.
Okay. All right.
We're going to do a food challenge. Next episode is my red beans versus Ben's red beans.
I'll tell you, my red beans are now, just to talk about red beans, we could turn this into a food show now.
No, but we'll get back to food later.
My red beans, I kind of now follow Stanton Moore's mother's recipe, which is pretty amazing because she's the one who taught me how to make, before you boil your beans, like, you're not using Blue Runner, you boil your dry beans, you make a
Blue Runner sells dry beans, by the way. Not trying to
All right.
upset the
I'm not
Blue
trying
Runner
to
people.
diss
Thank
on
you
Blue
for all the
Runner,
free
but-
red beans for the Fado Dough Blue Runner, by the way.
I'm not trying
Sorry.
to diss on Blue Runner. But you make a pork stock first.
Yeah.
And you use that water to boil your beans.
Yeah, I know some people that do chicken stock, but then add pork later or whatever
Yeah.
else. Both of those are both.
Stan's mom puts in
start the
ham
night
bouillon,
before, yeah.
like ham bouillon, bouillon cubes, and I think she buy like a honey baked ham thing and a honey baked ham bone,
That's
and
legit.
boils that with like a ham bouillon, and I mean it's really good.
I don't have that kind of time.
You gotta make it, man.
Well, I mean, I had plenty of andouille and pickled pork, by the way. Ah, son of a bitch. Do you remember the first time playing at Tippatinas?
Yes, I do.
When was
First time playing Tippatinas was employee band night. Klezmer Allstars had the gig. I was working here. Mm-hmm. I was still in the Klezmers. It must have been. I was still in the
How often was employee band night, by the way?
I don't think it was very often.
Okay.
That's kind of a sunny question because he booked it.
Okay.
And I think that was the very first time.
Okay.
Via an employee band night, not out of our own merit.
All right, fine. We'll put your stupid band on.
Yeah, based
Klezmer.
on,
Yeah, people love Klezmer.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
What was your first gig playing with Galactic?
First gig playing with Galactic. I can't remember the actual first gig, but I do remember the first tour because that might have been the first gig. At the time,
The first gig was an out-of-town gig then, probably.
It might have been. It really might have been. I think it was. It was the tour that the band was going on right after Cooling Off came. It was really their first West Coast tour, I believe.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that you're not on that first album.
Nope.
I think that's a great piece of trivia.
I'm
that
not
some
on the
people
first
forget.
album, but I was on the first tour.
Yeah,
Because the dudes on the album were such ringers, that they couldn't afford them.
No, they're
So
not
that's-
going to convince Traub to come out there. or
Exactly.
whatever,
Yeah, and Eric Jacobson and even at the time,
I think Mark Mullins was on a
Yep.
couple of songs. He was doing regular Harry Connick gigs,
This is like the piece of trivia is I think the rehearsal tape that I got that I learned all the first tour when I was trying to learn the songs. I think it was Joe Cabral because he did a stint in the band. And I think the
didn't
tape
know
they
that.
had was Joe Cabral. So,
I had no idea that he was in the band.
He was. He
Wow.
did some gigs. I don't know if he was in the band.
Well, that he even played,
Yeah.
as a member at
Yep.
any point in time. I think this is another piece of trivia. Speaking of the first album, I don't know if this is actually true. I have to skip ahead for this, actually. But it might have been Cooling Off. The first Galactic record was Galactic, not the band printed on the Galactic record. Is that possible?
Wait, say that again?
Did they have a misprint on one of the first albums?
Not the first album, Ruckus.
Okay, it was Ruckus. Okay.
Ruckus. One side is some band. I should know who it is. Funnily enough, I didn't really. Maybe I knew it and I just blocked it out. But this kind of surfaced semi-recently.
Yeah, I heard this from Alex recently. That's why
Yeah.
I say that. Yeah.
Yeah, because our buddy Steve, Steve actually has a copy of it.
All right.
And he played it, and so it's Ruckus on vinyl, only on vinyl.
Okay.
I guess I don't know how many they printed.
Is it
but
mislabeled or is it the wrong?
It's not mislabeled. It's just the wrong band.
Oh wow.
And I didn't believe it, and we were FaceTiming, and I'm like, dude, put it on. And he put it on, and it was totally different. One side's us, and the other side's a different band.
All right, Steve, call in if you're watching right
Yeah.
now. This is recorded. He's not watching. So.
And he Shazammed it and found the band.
Okay.
Yeah, so
You don't remember who it is?
I don't remember.
All right,
who
we'll
it
get
is.
Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, Nick, we'll put the actual information. We will contact Steve after this interview.
Yeah.
And we'll find out who it is, and Nick will add that in post.
I don't own a copy of that. I wish I did.
You don't own a copy of your own album?
No.
Huh, interesting. Who was the first member of Galactic that you did meet?
That I did meet?
Yeah, like who
Definitely
did you
Stanton.
meet first? It was
Stanton. That's how I ended up in Galactic. Was because Stanton was the drummer in the New Orleans Klezmer Allstars.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's how when it came time for the band to go on the road and they needed somebody, Stanton's like, I know a guy. We'll do it for cheap. So it was like right place, right time, and
You'd
right
burn
price.
through that $1,00000.
Yeah, that went fast.
By then, you needed
Yeah.
the money. When did you first meet Houseman?
I want to say I can't really remember an exact meeting, but I want to say I knew Reward at the
Okay.
time because Jonathan played in Reward, and I don't know if my timeline is messed up, but I feel like I knew Reward from Benny's. I used to go to Benny's, and so I knew. I think I knew Theroux from being in that band, and I knew Mike Ward from late nights at Miss May's, the old Miss May's, and Jonathan did a stint in Reward, and as did Alex McMurray, who I knew at the time as well. They were both like the guitar players in Reward for a minute, so I believe it must have been through a Reward thing.
Right.
I mean, I didn't really get to know him until we started traveling.
Until Galactic.
Yeah, and then we became quite tight because he always figured himself as like the hired gun in the band. Even though,
Yeah?
yeah, he did. I mean, he had that sort of thing going, you know, and of course I did too, because I mean we weren't original members, you know, whatever, you know, it was like those guys had a little core, you know.
That's interesting.
Houseman and I always we roomed together and we sat in the back of the van together and we just had a little.
Yeah, how does it feel to be the new guy?
Yeah, exactly. yeah, yeah.
That's wild. I rarely consider that.
Well, I mean, there was a time, you know.
I mean,
Because in the beginning of Galactic touring, I was still playing with the Klezmer Allstars, which was a really working band at the time.
Yeah.
We had a booking agent. We traveled all over the country, and we did a lot of touring.
Yeah.
So I kind of had a lot. I think at the time I had more touring under my belt than Galactic ever had. So I was already kind of like a road dude.
Okay.
You know, like I had been in that band Lump for a while, which
Don't
probably
get
before
ahead of
your
me.
time.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's, you know, so I'd been on the road, you know, like at the time. So, but to go back to your original question, yeah, it was Stanton who came in as a replacement for Willie Green, Mean Willie Green, Neville Brothers drummer,
Yeah.
who was the Klezmer's first drummer. And whenever Willie couldn't do it because of Neville gigs, Stanton sort of became our guy.
I believe it's Willie Greenstein.
Yeah,
actually,
exactly. Yeah.
This is going to be all over the place. What's your favorite snowball flavor?
I really prefer the natural flavors. I'm not into like the nectars and the super sweet ones. Like I like.
I was going to say nectar might be one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean I get it, you know, but like I really on a summer day and it's hot, I kind of want something like a little more refreshing. I like Hanson's has like one time I went there they literally blended a watermelon.
Yeah.
Put a watermelon in a blender and poured it on the ice. I think that was the greatest snowball I've ever had.
There was a place that a friend of mine named Dylan used to own on Ferret called Boku Snowballs that was all natural fruit juice snowballs.
Yeah.
And it was like, this is a great model. These are delicious. You're going to go out of business because people want that diabetes, man.
Dude, I always thought that it was really a disservice, and there was a market for this. Like, I know Hanson's has some incredible flavors. You get the cardamom and all these weird ones, you know, and they
Even like Earl Grey.
yeah,
You know.
Well, they have one that I always get from my kid, which is just apple juice poured over ice. You know, like
it's delicious. I love
yeah,
apple
and
juice. Yeah.
Imperial Woodpecker has some natural flavors.
I don't know what that is.
Imperial Woodpecker.
Yeah.
It's that little stand right next to Harry's Ace. That little
Oh, does that have a
snowball stand.
name?
Yeah.
Oh, man, I didn't know that was called anything.
That's really good. They have a separate menu, but I always thought, man, that somebody would crush by doing the organic. I mean, I know it's happened in the Bywater. They had a joint that was run by a Klezmer All-Star for a while. But I always thought that
We're
like
not allowed in the
natural,
Bywater.
organic snowball thing. I mean, it's an underserved market.
It is, and he was ahead of his time when he had it on Ferret.
Yeah.
And I think just like rent prices just kept raising, and he just couldn't keep it going.
Yeah.
Ultimately, how do I phrase this? Who is the greatest music group to intertwine Arabic twerk, Balkan bounce, and international booty bass music?
Oh, we're talking about Gypsyphonic now. Okay. Yeah. Gypsyphonic Disko. Yeah. That's something that happened.
Yeah. All right, we can leave it at that.
I mean, we can talk about it if you want.
Just a little bit.
I was
Tell
thinking
the
about it
people what
today because it's
Gypsyphonic
funny that you
Disko
bring
is.
this up because I really haven't done a lot with that in the past.
I have 2 Gypsyphonic Disco CDs that I purchased, by the way.
Purchased? No, they were free,
Purchased.
buddy. You did not buy them.
I feel like I gave Quickie Mart like $5
Maybe.
or something.
Okay, yeah. All available for free at gypsyphonic.com.
Is that still is that a live website?
I haven't looked in about 3 years, but
Okay.
I think I pay the GoDaddy fee every year, so it should
Okay.
be up there.
All right.
Also on SoundCloud, but yeah, I was listening to Go-Go Bordella today. It's funny you bring that up, and listening to like a track that. It's kind of funny because I was listening to Go-Go Bordella today, and I was thinking about it because it's kind of come full circle because there was one of the. Okay, so well, just to back up, Gypsyphonic Disko was. I have a love of klezmer music, Balkan music, gypsy music, and
In hip hop and bounce. And,
yeah, well, that kind of worked its way in it, but it started with klezmer music, which led to Balkan music and Balkan brass bands specifically. There was sort of a period in my life where I was sort of digging deep on being from here and loving the brass band scene. You know, there's brass bands from all over the world. There's brass bands in India and Spain and
for sure.
incredible brass bands that I'm not going to say stylistically are different from here, but function in a lot of the same ways as doing weddings and funerals, as society bands.
No, it's regional tradition, like
Yeah.
just like it is here.
Yeah. But we're talking about like bands with like with bass drums with their name and number on it, you know, hires for a wedding, hires for a funeral, hires for whatever, you know. So started getting into the Balkan brass bands, and that sort of led me back in the sort of 90s in New York. There was a bar called, it's still around, but it's moved and it's different. It was called the Bulgarian Bar. And it was in the financial district. Financial district? I think so. It was a weird part of town. It only happened Friday and Saturday nights, I believe. And Eugene from Go-Go Bordello, the lead singer from Go-Go Bordello, was a regular DJ there. And it was this scene that started about midnight. And every time Galactic or any band I was in would play New York on the weekends, that's where we'd go. That was our after party. And it was this incredible scene of Balkan music meets sort of disco, drinking liquors that you had no idea what they were, and dancing, and incredible mix of cultures and people. You know, it wasn't quite yet like the hipster thing that it kind of is now. You kind of felt like you like stumbled upon something, like you were in a place where you shouldn't be, or you were lucky to be there at least, you know. And there was no sign for the place. You had to go up on the third floor, and there was a guy taking a cover on the staircase, you know. And it was this incredible scene, and I got turned on to a lot of music there, and sort of that sort of culture of they call it Balkan beats now. And that was the inspiration for a lot of the Gypsyphonic stuff, which ended up happening, which was born out of Galactic. We did a New Orleans record, and we brought in a bunch of bounce rappers from here, like Katie Red and Sissy Nobi and Big Frida. And when they came in the studio to record for our record, even though we kind of had a song already worked out, we literally recorded them to a bounce beat. That was it. Because we really wanted to capture them doing the thing that they do. We didn't want them to necessarily like...
You didn't want to form them into the song.
Exactly. We kind of wanted...
Form the song around them.
Exactly. Like we wanted it to be authentic, so to speak, I guess, you know? So we didn't want to limit them by like making them do these things that they weren't used to doing. So we would just roll the bounce beat and let them go. And our instruction was always like, just be you know what I mean? And by being them, it was inherently very dirty, very X-rated, you know.
For sure.
Sing about whatever you want, doesn't matter, you know.
All right.
And so when it came time to sort of incorporate that into the Galactic, we had to do a lot of editing, you know, and keep it sort of pretty family friendly, you know. So I just had a nice folder full of the nasty bits. Yeah. And the nasty bits, that's what I used for the beginning of Gypsyphonic. I brought in Quickie Mart, and we were working on beats, you know, and using, you know, some of this gypsy music that I was sourcing and the nasty bits that we had recorded, and that was Gypsyphonic.
Any plans on bringing it back at all?
I would love to, you know. I mean, kind of towards the end of when we were really working on it, like we did, you know, I did like a Cajun song, you know, so it was like sort of like Cajun music, bounce vocals, and a bounce beat, you know. Yeah. You know, I did some Grateful Dead stuff. I did some reggae stuff. I say I, but it was really me and Quickie Mart, of course.
Nick, put his Instagram handle on the screen or something like that. Yeah. Quickie Mart, we love you.
Yeah, we do. And it was really fun. And I don't really know what happened. I think maybe we took it as far as it could go, maybe to a certain extent. There was sort of a moment like it was here. Unfortunately, we started doing live shows, and for a while I kind of thought I'd love to like take this on the road and have this career as a DJ. You know, in the beginning of it, it was kind of funny because I was really into it, and the idea. And I was even talking to booking agents, you know, thinking about you know, and I talked.
It was a fun show.
Yeah, I loved it, you know, and I fancied it. I was like, man, I could go out and do this. But truth be told, I really, as much as like at that time Galactic was doing 150, 200 shows a year, you know, I didn't really want to get off the road from my cushy bus touring.
Slug it out in a van.
Yeah, slug it out in a van, opening up for, you know, $300 or whatever. And that was kind of part of it, you know, of like the reality of what it really meant to like make it work. And then I also really enjoyed the live show of it. I loved having the dancers and having it be like a bigger show. And of course, we really couldn't afford that. And then the real like just thing that was like hard to deal with was like I have a lot of respect for DJs. You know, like I didn't want it to be a situation where I was just pushing buttons. You know, like just pushing a play button and stepping back. Like so, I really tried to do the mashups live. You know, and that gave me a lot of respect for DJs who do that. You know, and realize that like. I'm kidding myself. Like it requires a lot of practice and a lot of skill that I really didn't have. Like I'm a studio guy. Like I could do that in a studio and have a great time doing that. But to like recreate that live was like it was a skill set. Quickie Mart had it. Yeah. You know, but so that just gave me this complex of like I don't want to just push play while Quickie's like doing masterful scratching. You know.
No, for sure, for
You
sure.
know, just I like being the studio guy.
No,
you
I
know?
get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Can you name every band you've been a full-time member of?
Wow. I could try.
Your manager keeps texting me, by the way. So.
I could try, but I don't know if I'll get it right. I guess it was, really, I guess it all starts in New Orleans. There was a band in Santa Cruz that I was in. It was called Mean Business. That was my very, very first band with Luca Fredrickson, who was a great piano player who later moved to New Orleans and played in Walter Wolfman Washington's band. And also wrote one of Stanton Moore's most famous songs, Blues for Ben, which is featured on All Kook Out. That we had a band called, with Jonathan, called Mean Business. And then we came to New Orleans, and we had the Klezmers, we had Little Rascals, had Lump, had Galactic, had all that. And that might be it.
All right. Describe Lump.
When I describe Lump, I really kind of think that probably was the greatest band. No offense to Galactic. But it was
Galactic who, right?
It probably was the greatest band I was ever in.
You know, so Lump was gone by the time I moved here, but I have since seen random videos and things like that. Like, it's a really cool idea that I wish someone was doing something like that now.
Well,
you know, there's
the leader of Lump, Lou
very
Thevenot, is sort of doing that. He started another band called Norco Lapalco, which is a great band as well. I think Lump hit at this certain time in the 90s where there was like this rock scene, man. I mean, maybe there's one now. I mean, I'm old now. I have a kid.
Different. People don't know what the rock scene was like. It was so undervalued, I think, for considering how strong and how awesome it was. And it's something that we can only look back and be like, man, I can't believe this wasn't.
I don't know. I believe it's there today. I still do. I just don't know because now I'm like the old guy or something.
People,
you know, but at the time, like it felt like there was a real scene of bands that was a community of bands. Some of those bands were Nipples of Isis, Evil Nurse Sheila, Weed Eater, Nut, Lump, James Hall. You know, I don't know. It felt like there was a scene.
Oxen Thrust.
Well, that was earlier, actually.
Okay.
You know? But that was Scott Guillaume, right? Scott and Stanton. But there was like, I don't know, man. There was these clubs where we played, and Lump played a weekly at what was the Warehouse Cafe, which is that weird.
Is that place right by Calliope or whatever?
No,
Magazine?
it's now what's it called?
Maybe.
Yeah, it's on Annunciation right by the right at the freeway overpass.
Yeah, there's
it's like a bakery now or something.
Yeah,
right?
It was a restaurant for a time, and then I think it was like a
Monaco
mob.
Bob's.
Yeah, it was like a mob joint or something like that. The rumor has it.
Yes, exactly. That place was called the Warehouse Cafe, and it was owned by Jack Leonardi from Giacomo's. That was him.
Is he the owner?
Yeah, him and another dude owned it.
Oh.
And I worked there too. That was my only bartending gig. Every
kidding.
Friday night for the Rebirth played there.
Interesting.
So yeah, that was a fun little scene down there. It was like a cool little hang with bands under the overpass, but yeah, Lump had a little era in New Orleans. We played this thing at the Howlin' Wolf, which was like a talent show, a battle of the bands, excuse me. And the winner got sent to South by Southwest when South by Southwest was truly like an industry event. You know?
When it was young, and it was for sure.
So and Lump had a tour based on that. We used to tour to Austin, and we had a little following in Austin, and I went to New York for my very first time with Lump. We played at CBGB's.
Right on.
Yeah, so I have that under my belt of playing CBGB's. But Lump was a great band, and you know we got in the van, and it was rough and dirty, $100 and a pizza, but it was I don't know, looking back, like it was fun. Maybe at the time we were like, but now that we're, like I said, now we're old, we look back, we're like, yeah, that was cool, man.
Glad I used to do that, right?
Yeah. But musically, let's just talk about the band. I was talking about everything else, but musically, I think that band was just super hip because there was
no one else making anything like it, quite like it. You know?
it was sort of
It's a
was
new
sort of
idea.
like a Mr. Bungle type thing. It was like a bunch of like punk rock kids who love jazz, and not like any jazz, but like kind of out there jazz, a little more aggressive, creative music. So it was sort of this sort of like punk rock jazz thing, you know, that worked. And then Lou Theveno, who was the leader of the band and wrote all the lyrics, is a really smart guy and a great lyricist, really witty and funny. So he just wrote some incredible songs like "Peanut in Your Butt."
It's classic. It's the classic. It's the
Creative
classic.
guys. That's all I'm saying. It was a group of creative guys, and the bass player was Mike Joseph, who later ended up in Egg Yolk Jubilee. He's passed, unfortunately, but he was in Egg Yolk Jubilee for years. And A.P. Gonzalez, the drummer, is still around and playing. And he had played in this other band with a guy named Joe Biazza, who was from the band Saccharine Trust. Anybody who knows punk rock knows who they are. So it's sort of like he had this pedigree of already coming from this sort of John Zorn art punk side kind of scene, you know. So that kind of helped the band out. But yeah, it was good times.
Very interesting. I was going to ask you which band had a bigger following, Captain Meathead or Lump? I would assume Lump.
Yeah.
For sure.
There was just a moment where Lump, like, we packed the clubs, you know, and we'd play every week.
No, man, I saw a great video of you guys doing Louisiana Jukebox back in like
that's like the only that exists. It's
1991. Exactly.
It's
a
kind of
shame.
depressing.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that exists. But, like, you know, there was this little era where we would just, you know, have packed clubs, and it was fun as
Reunion show, maybe?
Probably not.
30th anniversary?
Probably
Something?
not.
All right, that's fair.
Unfortunately.
Back to Jewish stuff. Sephardic or Ashkenazi?
Oh, I'm Ashkenaz.
Ditto. What does the word klezmer translate to in Yiddish? From Yiddish?
I believe it's vessel of music.
Yeah, I think
right?
it's basically instrument or vessel of sound, I think, yeah.
Yeah. If you know all these answers, why are you asking me this?
Because this is trivia, man. This is supposed to be a one-off.
All right.
And I want to be able to say you're wrong.
Yeah.
Use a standard razor or electric razor on your head?
Oh, I use a multi-blade standard razor, of course.
All right.
And I don't even call it a razor. I call it a shaving system.
Shaving system?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I'm just kidding. It's like these 6 to 8 blade razors, you know? I mean, yeah, I'm all in it.
Yeah, an octo, right?
Yeah.
Who's a better sax player, Tim Cappello or Kenny G?
I'm not even going to answer.
Do you know who Tim Cappello is?
No, I don't know Tim.
It's the shirtless, oily guy from the Lost Boys playing.
Oh, God.
You will believe?
They both. Yeah, I don't know. Both of them. Good luck.
I heard a chuckle out of Ace. He thought that was funny. What was the first album you produced? Getting into
First
album production.
I produced. I'm gonna say, Galactic.
Like production credit?
Yeah,
like,
it would be
producers?
Galactic. Yeah.
Okay. Which one?
Would it be From the Corner to the Block? I think I got production credit.
Was
on
it the
that.
first time for real? Was that late?
So. Yeah, it was. Because that was like, that became a weird thing because that album was made right after Katrina. You know, we were sort of in this split up. You know.
Yeah, you guys were up north, I think, in a studio for a while.
Because the album before that was Ruckus, where we had a big time producer come in, Dan the Automator, and I had an MPC at the time. And I knew Dan Dan the Automator was a big MPC guy, you know. So I remember, like, I guess sort of trying to impress him, or not trying to impress him, but hoping that while he was at our studio, I'd get tips, and he'd be like, I'd kind of be in this other room working on, and I was kind of always secretly hoping he'd come in and be like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, that's cool. Check this out. But I really didn't get any of that.
Well, from what I understand from interviewing the other guys here, he was very much hands off with a lot of the process. Like you guys were expecting a lot. Not that it was like, screw that guy. It's just like, Oh, this is not what we are used to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, to give him credit. I mean, you probably heard the story. Maybe the other guys told it, but to give him credit, it was our first time hiring a big time producer.
Mm-hmm.
We had a major label that gave us a lot of money to do the thing, and it was the most amount of money we'd ever spent on a producer. And we hired him with the idea that in some ways that he was going to sort of flip the script on us and take whatever we did and somehow mold that and make us into this newer, more exciting modern band, and what he really ended up doing was turning us on to these sort of songwriter producers in their own right. These two guys who came down and worked with us for like 3 weeks before Dan ever showed up. Song doctors, let's call them, Jim Greer and Brandon, and
You guys still work with them today?
yeah,
right?
Jim Greer is a great producer in his own right and a great writer, and shaped a lot of our band, at the time, and even continually. We still work with him. So I mean, that's what I credit Dan for. It's like, and I understand this as a producer now. Sometimes that's just like what you do is you connect the right people with the right people.
Well, he was hot off a Platinum Gorillaz album or something,
What we wanted him to do was to do his little wickety on us, and he didn't really do that. Instead, what he did was put us with some good song doctors who we still have a great relationship with today, and so, it was still a win, but it wasn't what we really wanted. I remember, funnily enough, being at Sonny's house at like a party when we were sort of wrapping up. It was a crawfish boil, sitting with Dan and talking to him, and it was before we had finished recording everything, and he was going to take it back to San Francisco and mix it. And I don't remember how I put it, but I was really excited to hear something totally different. Like I really wanted it to like come back, like holy shit, that's us, like almost like use everything as stems and cut it up and redo it and make this kind of hip hop cool sounding thing, And really, in the end, like, what he said to me was, Ben, man, you want to go from like point A, from A, to Z or whatever, A to C. And it's like, I'm going to take you to B. I was like, fuck B. Why do I want to go to B? I don't want to go to B.
He's right there. We need to go farther than that.
Exactly. And in the end, he kind of just mixed it. He did a good job of mixing it.
It's a cool record, man. Like,
Yeah,
cool album. Yeah.
I like the record a lot.
He did obviously up the pressing on the vinyl.
Yeah, I'm not mad at the record at all. We were just sort of expecting something else, and truthfully, in the end, we ended up remixing a lot of the stuff he mixed with Mike Napolitano. You know Mike Napolitano, who should get a lot of credit on that record too, because me and Rob spent countless hours just. Mike Napolitano had an apartment above Checkpoint Charlie's, and we spent hours and hours just sitting there with him, messing with the mix and re-recording things and doing what we were kind of hoping Dan would do. And so in a way, that's kind of what turned, I think, me and Rob into producers. Was watching Mike, watching Jim Greer, watching Dan Prothero, our original producer, do what they did.
How many albums have you produced? Any idea?
I don't. I have no idea. And I'd forget some probably.
How many golds have you produced?
Really, only one. I mean, I've had 2 Grammy nominations, but only one double platinum, which is the Revivalist.
Is it the Men Amongst Mountains? Is that what
No.
that was called?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That one went double platinum.
Double platinum. How about that? Did you buy the whole thing?
I got the one platinum.
Yeah.
Supposedly it went double platinum, but we haven't got the double platinum yet. Supposedly it's coming. So,
all right.
David Shaw.
Well done. David Shaw, future guest of the program.
Where it at?
Get that over to Ben. All right, let's take another turn real quick. Where was I? Lost my place. All right. What's your favorite TV show right now? It can be a streaming series if that is more with the times.
Well, there's one thing I just watched that is absolutely amazing, which is Steve McQueen's Small Axe it's on Amazon. Director Steve McQueen.
I like Steve McQueen.
Yeah. No, not that Steve. The director.
Okay. So he's not an actor too?
No.
Right.
Small Axe, which is on Amazon. He did this one called Lover's Rock, which is London in the '60s, the sort of West Indies, Jamaican thing. But really, what I what I love watching is it's a Netflix. I love food shows, man.
That's fair.
There's this Chinese show called Flavorful Origins on Netflix, which goes to weird parts of China and weird ingredients, and I like those kinds of things, like super close up, slow motion of food.
The wife has probably been watching that. She watches.
She goes to
food
sleep during
shows
that.
and murder shows.
Oh, yours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about my wife.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
She watches.
My
the
wife falls
Prince.
asleep. That's what I like put on when my wife falls asleep.
For sure.
You know, yeah.
How many harmonicas do you own?
Well, harmonicas are disposable instruments, unfortunately. I mean, you can replace the reed plate on them, but the individual reeds on a harmonica will go out of tune, or they'll lock up or do these things. So I've had hundreds, if not thousands, of harmonicas.
For real, that many?
Yeah.
Like they're that short living.
Every tour I go on, I probably buy a few at least, if not more, depending upon the tour, the songs we're playing. If sometimes when we have a working set with Galactic, there'll be a bunch of harmonica songs in different keys. So I need multiple. I need 2 or 3 in each, because each harmonica is in its own key.
Yeah, yeah.
So, currently we're playing a lot of harmonica songs in B flat, so which means I need a lot of E flats because I could blow out a harmonica in 2 or 3 gigs
That quickly.
It
Wow,
could.
I
It
didn't realize that they were that short living.
It depends. I mean, I'm going to say this, but see, the band buys my harps, so if the band didn't buy my harps, I might be replacing reed plates. But there was a certain point where I hit the wall. I was like, dudes, I am spending so much money on harmonicas. I mean, a harmonica these days is like $50,
Yeah, is that what they got? I have no basis
Retail.
for comparison.
Yeah, exactly. So I was just spending an insane amount of money to play harmonica with Galactic.
Well, I only bring it up because I love the songs where you play harmonica.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
I am wondering why I don't hear more harmonica songs.
Well, there is. It just depends. I think, Rob makes a set list now. So, it depends what's in the current rotation. But I love playing harmonica too. I mean, I feel like the harmonica I feel really comfortable on. I feel like I struggle with the saxophone.
For real?
I do.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
It's not as
Well, is that because also, sorry to cut you off,
No.
you always have a badass next to you, whether it is someone like Corey Henry or Shamar Allen or Eric,
yeah.
dude, you always have a killer right next to you. Is that part of that?
I can't really say why, other than I feel like I don't know. The harmonica is kind of a warm bath for me. It just feels comfortable and it's easy. And I feel like with saxophone, I've just heard too much music. I've heard too many great players, and I just kind of know I just know what I want to sound like, and I know what I sound like.
All right, that's fair.
So,
that's fair.
and harmonica, there's less of that, maybe.
You might have answered this before. Do you have a favorite harmonica player?
I have a few. I mean, I did mention Sonny Terry, who is country blues, but I mean, I love the greats. I love Little Walter. I love James Cotton. I love Sonny Boy Williamson. All the Chicago dudes, really. I love all of that.
Yeah, it's almost like a long lost art as far as it's not something you see often.
Yeah.
People only equate John Popper from Blues Traveler is the only one of the modern era that people seem to recognize.
No, I love Chicago blues. I mean, Chicago blues and the Chicago Blues Masters and the sound of the harp and the style. I love all that. But I mean, today I was listening to Raphael Sadiq, who has Stevie Wonder on one of his songs that took the most mind-blowing solo on a Raphael Sadiq album that was just made my hair stand up. So I mean, and then he plays chromatic harmonica, which I don't really play a lot of chromatic. So, and then when I was a little kid, even before I started playing harmonica, my mother took me to go see, or maybe I just started, which is why she took me to go see a classical player, this guy named Larry Adler, who plays classical harmonica at the Hollywood Bowl. She took me to see him, and it was incredible. I mean, classical harmonica on it.
It's not something I've ever heard.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
Do you play any other instruments besides sax and harmonica? I know you said you had piano lessons when you were a kid. Was there ever anything else that you picked up even for a little while?
No.
All right.
That's it. There was, on the Ruckus tour, we needed another guitar. We needed an acoustic guitar. So for a while, I played acoustic on one song, maybe
I
two
didn't
songs.
know that.
I do not play guitar.
I was gonna say
Jeff taught me.
had to just
Jeff
teach you how
taught
to
me
play.
3 chords.
Just do this one thing.
Yeah, I learned 3 chords exactly.
All right, that's cool.
And I was pretty shitty at it, but
If you had to move away from New Orleans, where would you live?
that's an interesting question.
I know.
Something that, like, I guess everyone, if you in any place long enough, I've been here over 30 years now, so you know, you think about it, and I don't know. I definitely I want to live some point in my life. I want to live overseas. You know, I want to experience living in another country. You know, that's the fantasy. I don't know where it'd be. Probably France, because my daughter's in French school, and
She would take care of you.
yeah, exactly. I mean, if all
Wouldn't be
goes,
like an island getaway. You'd
yeah, if
wanna,
all goes to the master plan, she's going to end up in free college in France, where I will follow her.
All right, Rowan, get on that.
Yeah, seriously. My kind of vacation, obviously, is the beach. I am a
You're
beach
a beach type
vacation
of
guy.
person?
I am
All
a
right.
beach guy.
All right.
I love that. You know, I've always fantasized about opening a jazz and guacamole bar somewhere on some island.
Dude, you don't want to put guacamole in your jazz. That's not good.
No, I'm just saying, you listen
Put some
to
jazz in
and
the
eat guacamole. Yeah.
Okay.
However, to stay domestic, it's kind of strange because everyone and their mother's moving there, but I fancy Denver only because, well, for various reasons. One, no hurricanes. I ended up here because of an
Snowed
earthquake.
4 inches in Denver today.
Yeah, I mean, snow
Late
is,
April.
snow's a problem. Snow's a
In
problem.
late April, it snowed 4 inches just
Yeah, but
today.
there's no hurricanes, no earthquakes,
Okay.
right? I mean, that's something. I came here because of an earthquake, and
Yeah.
we
No,
all
that's
deal with
fair. I
hurricanes,
lived in
yeah.
California for a year and a half and only had a couple small earthquakes.
Yeah.
And I was terrified to think that, like, you could have one that could knock you off a bridge while you're driving. So
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
No, I love California. California is in my soul.
it's wasted on Californians. But
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
I love Santa Cruz. I love Big Sur. I love the redwoods on the coast. I mean, that is in my blood. The weather, everything about it. But I am scared of earthquakes. You know,
It is
having
reasonable.
been in a few, you know, I'd have a hard time living in an earthquake zone. But I like Denver for various reasons. One being no natural disasters like that, and access to culture, because everything like rolls through Denver. You know, theater,
It is
music.
the center of the country.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's a hub for getting everywhere on planes, legalized marijuana, the great outdoors, access to everything that has to offer. So it's appealing.
I don't know. Being buried in snow for 4, 6, 7 months out of the year, I can't.
I talk all that, but I ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I was gonna say. That was
I just bought a club, man. I ain't going
Yeah,
nowhere.
dude, you ain't going where.
Yeah.
Passover or Purim? I'm gonna go ahead and get on this.
Either. I don't know. It
Doesn't
does-
matter. It's a throwaway question. It's a throwaway question.
Yeah.
Most people
I like
would-
Hamantashes.
Yeah, I was gonna say most people would say Purim for the mere fact that it's Jewish Mardi Gras, which is a load
Yeah.
of crap. It's not. Passover, at least you get one decent meal out of it, but then
Yeah.
matzah is also overrated too.
What's the what is it, like date Hamantashes? What's the black stuff in?
People put apricots or
No,
there's all
that's the
kinds
good one, but what's the bad one? I was
of, I
trying
don't
to
know.
remember.
Is there a bad one?
It
They're
was
all
like
bad.
date. Is it date or fig, or maybe one of them?
Maybe figs. Dates are not delicious either. Dates
Yeah.
are an overrated fruit.
Yeah.
Describe your perfect bagel and lox.
Wow. Well, it's funny you say that because I'm currently about to make my own lox.
Really? You're
I
gonna smoke salmon, huh?
I have a smoker, and I've recently outfitted a cold smoking situation to it,
Okay.
which lox is cold smoked.
Yeah.
So you cure it, and then you smoke it, but you can't smoke it with any heat. So you have to have your source, your heat source, and your smoke coming from a different source. So the smoke travels, and by the time it hits where your food is, it's cold.
Yeah.
So I'm about to cold smoke some salmon myself.
I mean, setup, layered, capers, onions, red onions. What type of cream cheese?
I don't do
use?
capers. I like capers, but I don't generally do it.
For real?
So,
You don't do
yeah,
capers on those,
I'm kind of a traditionalist.
What
I
type
like,
of bagel? Plain, everything, sesame,
I
poppy.
kind of go all over
Garlic,
the place.
onion,
I
salt.
grew up loving a salt bagel.
Okay.
I was a salt bagel guy. Now I'm kind of an everything bagel guy. Every single Sunday from Stein's, I get chive cream cheese, smoked salmon, everything bagel for myself, an egg for my kid, a knish, They have corned beef knishes there that are
Yeah.
really good, and some chopped liver every single Sunday, and a bag of my coffee
Are you serious?
every single Sunday.
I didn't know that.
Yep. I just recently got a tab. Thank you, Stein.
He does that. Dan's a swell fella.
Yeah,
Friend,
he
of the,
is.
friend of the show. Friend,
Oh
of the,
my
friend of
God.
the club. Friend of the world.
Love him. Good guy.
We still have 54 questions to go.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
kidding. I know. We'll start running through. You have to answer them quickly. You're telling stories. All right. Latkes, latkes, or latkes?
Latkes.
Okay, that's fair. Converse or Vans?
Vans.
What's the best gig Galactic's ever played?
The best gig. Okay, well, my brain
See,
was
some of
spinning
these
for a
involve a
second.
story, yeah. Some of these involve
My
a
brain was spinning for a second, but there was one. There was one that stands out, which
Mm.
was, and it was many years ago, Houseman era, and we played in the Golden Triangle at a grow farm. Golden Triangle being the Humboldt area.
Okay, yeah.
It was a private party for a grower.
I was going to say, is it that Chinese restaurant in Kenner?
No. It was amazing. It was just
Again,
it was
Ace got
probably
that
our
one,
first
yeah.
time. It was access to a secret world because it was hidden in Arcata area
Okay,
grow
all right.
thing, and it was a grower who had a private party.
All right.
And he brought it was kind of early days where he brought lights in the trees, and we were outside, and it was just like a small group.
About what year was this?
Oh man, I don't know.
I don't want you to incriminate anybody. Yeah.
I would say before 2000, maybe 99.
Okay,
like,
all right.
kinda
So
early.
this is a while ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a while ago, but it was kind of just legendary because it was like playing on a weed farm before.
All right.
Weed was far from being legalized.
Yeah, it was not recreationally legal.
It
Yeah.
was far from that. So
Yeah.
it just had a moment. But I will say every time we play Red Rocks is pretty special. You know, it just is. When you're standing on that stage looking at that sort of sea of people, it's hard not to just be humbled.
No, I don't doubt that for a second.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. Yeah.
Well, have you ever been there? I mean,
Never.
It's an
Never.
amazing venue.
No, I've never
Yeah.
been anywhere actually.
Yeah.
Between Avenue
exactly.
and Napoleon
Fountain
Avenue, I
Blue,
pretty much
yeah,
stay in this
yeah,
little
yeah.
bubble. Do you have a favorite band that you guys have opened for? Like, I know you're typically a headliners, but you've opened for
There's
countless
been
people.
so many, man. There's really been so many. I mean,
I'm sure early on, every once in a while, something would catch you like, oh, I can't believe we're opening for so-and-so.
There's always moments.
Yeah.
You've probably heard it, but I mean, we opened for James Brown once, you know.
I haven't heard that story on this program yet.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
Where
And
was it?
It was at Lincoln Center, I believe. Kennedy Center, Lincoln Center, somewhere in New York. Smaller room. But it was a James Brown concert. I'll tell the story, though. This is the story that I'm going to tell about it. James Brown was amazing. And we watched him. There's a couple things that happened. We watched him do a sound check, which was unbelievable because he always had two bass players, two drummers, and two guitar players. He fired a guitar player during sound check. He was there for sound check, first off, like running it, fully running it, which
Yeah.
I didn't really even think he would be there, you know?
Yeah.
Fully running it, fired the guitar player, who we later went out to lunch with that day, and he was like, oh, I'll be on the gig. Don't worry. I get fired all the time.
I get fired all the time.
Yeah. But so Jeff and Rob, I can't remember which one it was. I'm gonna say it was Rob. Brought an album for James Brown to sign. Rob's mom was there. Maybe even it was Jeff's mom was there. But he brought the album to sign, and it was after sound check, and he walks up to James Brown and he says, James, do you mind signing this?
Oh, we called him James. Oh,
Exactly. James tore into him. James, it's Mr. Brown to you. How dare you? And he yells at Rob, who turns bright red. He yells at him in front of everybody. You know what I mean? Like the band, it was a scene. We're like, holy shit. To be yelled at by your hero is just, but he got over it, He's like, I'm so sorry, Mr. Brown. And he signed it. Said, can we take a picture? And Rob got a picture and he's got him there and his face is just bright red,
how have I never heard this story before?
Yeah. So he got yelled at. Mr. Brown to you.
God.
And then after the show, man, it was amazing because we played our set. Mm-hmm. I'm walking back to the dressing room. His houseman was with us.
Yeah.
I'm walking back to our dressing room, walk by James Brown's dressing room. The door is open, and it's James is sitting in a big chair, sort of with arms like that. And right next to him, like all up like that, is Houseman. And they're just having a one-on-one conversation. And Houseman's like, Bobski, come on in here, man, you know. Mr. Brown, this is our saxophone player. And he said, oh, you the saxophone player? You sound good. And shook my hand.
Wow. Oh, man.
Yeah, so that was my little James Brown moment.
God.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've never heard that story before.
Yeah. And another one was opening up for Chuck Brown in
All right.
D.C.
That's huge, especially with 2 D.C. guys in the band, right?
Yeah, it was amazing.
Oh,
it was
man.
amazing. We got to meet him, we got to talk to him, and yeah, it was killing, man. That was another and one other one was playing. Well, there was a few, but playing with Taj Mahal for me was it was funny. I was talking about this with Jeff just a couple days ago. Jeff called it a co-bill, even though we did play second. This is the Fillmore in Denver, and Taj Mahal did play first, and Jeff called it a co-bill. And I'm like, you can call it whatever you want, man.
Yeah.
Like, that was a Taj Mahal show. We opened for him, even if we played second.
Even if we played second, that's great.
Like a Taj Mahal, man. And he played with us, which was amazing because Taj Mahal was one of those, when I first started playing harmonica, he was one of my early influence guys because he's an amazing harmonica player too, you know? But his records were a big influence on me. So being able to be on the stage and play whatever song we played,
That's too good.
Yeah.
That's too good.
I was having a moment, for sure.
All right. Who's the sharpest dresser in Galactic?
I'd have to give it to Rob.
Yeah?
Stanton's all black, you know.
I mean, that's a recent phenomenon, too, the past few years. We just
All
started
black?
wearing all black, yeah.
But
But would you
last
say
few years,
Rob's the
that's-
best dresser in Galactic?
yeah, he is.
All right.
He always has been.
All right.
He's got a wife who helps him.
All right. So that
But he
good.
is. I mean, he just, you know.
That's fair. That's fair.
he's-
What's the worst? I know we have a limited amount of time because
Okay.
you have to go play with your friends, and I know this is getting in the way.
Yeah.
What's the worst album title floated by a member of Galactic?
I can't even
Okay,
recall.
that's fair.
I can't recall.
Dude, I told you,
Yeah,
I wrote
okay.
a lot of random
Okay,
questions.
yeah.
I thought this would go quicker. What's the worst place you ever had to sleep on the road?
Well, I'm sure there's worse, but as a band, we've always dreaded the band condo. We did a lot
I've
of
heard
touring.
stories about
We did a
stuff
lot
like
of
that,
touring in
yeah.
Colorado in the early days. Colorado's always been amazing to us, and we used to do these 2 nights in Vail, Aspen, Breckenridge, all these things. But they used to always put us up in band condos. Band condos are always rough, man. You know,
I
when
always
they
wondered
say
if
we
that
got
sort of thing would work here. Is that the sort of thing that you don't think would work here necessarily?
I mean, as a young band, you're happy to have a free room. Don't get me,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? You can't complain about that.
No, but you
know?
get young bands and you get seasoned bands
Yeah.
all the time, where they're
And-
like, no, we all get our own hotel rooms type of thing.
We've
like,
stayed. I mean, as I don't know if this was a Galactic question, but like Lump, we used to actually be on the stage and say, "We need a place to stay tonight.
I've
Will
heard
anybody
that
take us
story,
home?"
not from anyone in the band, but I've heard that story
Yeah.
before from people on this stage.
That's the
telling me
way
that
we
story.
worked it all the time. So which is really looking back, it was nice in a way because you really got to know people and you made friends, and it's different than just going back to your like Holiday Inn Express,
No, I mean,
whatever.
I had Ed on here from the Revivalists. Like that was their first couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the sort of thing that, you know, not to try and hammer a point home or something for any viewers that are potential rock stars or think they're going to be professional musicians. Like, it's what it takes. Like,
Yeah.
you got to be willing to no one. All right, I guess we're sleeping on the side of the road again, guys. You know,
Yeah.
like you have to be willing to take that risk and
Yeah.
sleep in a creepy person's home just so it's indoors.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, we've done that before.
Yeah.
But whenever I'm more up to doing that in a weird way than when they say band condo, I'm just like, "Shit, man, that's a lived-in sleeping situation."
Yeah, I always wondered if we had bought one of the houses next door, if that would be feasible to just be like, oh, dude, just stay there. They'd probably be like,
Most
we're
bands,
not
I
staying
mean,
there.
I don't know. I don't
It's
think
like
most
the
bands-
crew can stay there, the band is not, type
Yeah.
of thing, right? Another joke question, just to say it. The original band name was Galactic Prophylactic. In a few years, when you guys are all old, do you think it would be appropriate to call the band Galactic Geriatric?
Sure.
All right. And if you guys start to suck, would you be okay with Galactic Anticlimactic?
We can just go there right now.
All right, that's fine. Of the 5 of you guys, who is the best singer?
I'm I'm probably gonna have to guess that it's Stanton. Probably
think
either
so?
Stanton or Rich. Either Stanton or Rich.
All right.
I'm gonna back up and say we all suck.
Oh, well,
No offense to my bandmates who I
take a
love or
guess
my
at my
good
next
friends.
question. Who's the worst singer in Galactic?
Maybe me.
Are you serious? You
I
think you're the
can't
worst
sing.
singer in Galactic?
I can't sing.
All right.
I mean, I
There
don't
has
know.
to be
probably me
extremes.
and Rob. I'm gonna put me and Rob neck and neck.
As the worst?
I mean, none of us could really sing. I
Listen.
think that Stanton and Rich probably have the most consistent pitch.
All right. Well, Stanton has a rasp in his voice where it's like you're not expecting opera style sound to come out. He can put in gritty audio for sure because
man.
he's got a unique voice,
We
which
all
is
suck.
special.
We all suck, and I know this because sometimes as a joke, like right now we play on stage and I have an iPad on stage where I can control my own monitors.
Yeah.
And for and giggles, I turn up vocal mics sometimes really loud. Really loud. Just to hear what's really going on.
Yeah.
We all suck.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
I know you stopped just putting a mic out for Jeff entirely because he was lip syncing the whole time,
Yeah.
as it turns out.
This is true.
I watched I don't know how many shows with him. Like, I could tell while he's playing, like, and dude, just say hey na 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 hey na. You don't have to even sing it. Just say it.
I mean, there's
tell you're
power.
faking
There's power in numbers. I can admit to that. So, like, when we're all singing together, it's going to sound better
Obviously.
than individual.
Obviously.
And there was a time when Sister Titi was in our band, and she was kind of working with us, trying to give us a little vocal
Well, that's
lessons.
good.
And we all fancied wanting to learn and become better. As musicians, we want to become better at all that stuff. But it's like anything; you just have to do it more and more to do it.
Yeah.
And just singing "Hey na 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 hey na" ain't gonna do it.
No, I'm just,
Yeah.
If you guys have to share rooms on the road, who's the best roommate?
I don't know. I can't say, Okay, I know that everyone would probably say
I don't
I'm
want to
the
ask
worst
you.
roommate.
I'm not going to ask you who the worst roommate is because
I would probably win
Anybody.
the worst roommate because I'm a snorer.
Okay.
Okay. So I think Rich snores. I know Rich snores, so I wouldn't necessarily want to room with him.
All right.
So it would be a toss-up. I don't know. Stanton, I don't want to room with Stanton only because
He wakes up early.
no, he's gonna practice
That's what I'm
shit
saying.
all day. You know
He's
what I mean?
gonna wake
So
up early just to practice.
It's
Yeah.
either gonna be Rob or Jeff for me. But
Okay.
traditionally, for years and years, we had our paired up roomies.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah. You
You
don't have
know-
to tell me too much if it's too sensitive.
No. It was me and Houseman.
Okay.
It was Stanton and Rich and Rob and Jeff.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Rob and Jeff have been friends since
Exactly.
they were 7 years old or something crazy
Exactly.
like that.
Yeah.
Have you learned any new skills since the beginning of the pandemic?
Yeah. Rainbow looming.
I don't know what that means. You don't have to explain it if it's something weird or for your daughter.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
It's like crocheting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool.
I do a lot of it. It was
All right,
funny.
that's
That
cool.
was we were doing puzzles, and then we moved to it's like rubber band bracelets.
Okay.
With crazy patterns.
All right, that's cute. Like
was fun.
lanyards and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It's just
yeah.
an extension of sort
Yeah,
of
that's just a word. that I don't
Pandemic
know.
things.
Those two words don't make any sense to me.
looming. Yeah.
We're gonna skip around just because I want to get you out of here. What's your favorite kids show that your daughter watches?
Oh, Storybots. Well, there's two. Storybots, which is incredible because the music in it is like it's sort of like They Might Be Giants. They Might Be Giants. They Might Be Giants make kids records, and
Dude,
they
I
win the
love They Might Be
Grammys.
Giants. You don't
Yeah.
have to.
They're amazing.
Preach to the choir.
They make kids records, which are amazing. They win the Grammy for whenever they put out a kids record, they get the Grammy.
I don't
for it.
doubt that for a second.
Yeah.
I've loved them since I was 8 or 9 years old
incredible.
myself. you
So Storybots is a show where the music is, and they have celebrity Snoops on it, and
Mm-hmm.
David Cross, and all these great actors on it. But the music is totally on that level of like super smart, witty, good stuff. But then there's another one that just came out that I watched with her, which is called Waffles and Mochi, which is like the Obamas. Michelle Obama is one of the executive producers on it.
Okay.
And it's sort of like a food travel show with.
Oh, for kids?
Yeah,
That's clever.
And
idea.
yeah, exactly. And the two puppets. One is like a I don't know what it is. They call it waffles, but the other one's a little tiny piece of mochi. You know what mochi is? It's like a Japanese dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's really good. And they travel all over the world and hang out with all these famous chefs, and it's a fun show.
All right.
There's actually like some good, my daughter's 8 years old, so like I could watch different
It's not
things
baby
from her.
stuff. Like
Yeah,
you're trying
exactly.
to put real concepts in a kid's head.
Exactly, learning stuff. Like
Yeah.
I pumped my daughter, like because I grew up the shows I grew up on. I forced my daughter to watch all those now. So of course now I'm looking for like the modern cool ones. I just started going down Schoolhouse Rock with her now.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, it is. Like so, but those are two good ones that are.
Man, that's
yeah.
great. Any chance she has any musical aptitudes? You want to make her a musician? Is she interested?
I don't know.
Does she even think that what you do is cool, the least bit?
Yeah, I think she does actually.
Well, I've seen her like play around with her friends when you guys are rehearsing or doing a stream. Like
I think she does. There's moments when I catch her like really look at she, where I could tell like we just went camping. Not really camping. We had a cabin, but we had a tent and we had a campfire. And I was playing harmonica out there, and I could tell that she was like, she doesn't really. Even though I play around the house, like. I could just see there was some moments where I could see, oh yeah, you do think I'm cool. Other moments where she's just like, oh,
that's very sweet. That's very sweet. Let me see. Do you have a favorite green room?
Favorite green room? I can't. Well, maybe I have to go back to Red Rocks. I mean, that is one of the most unique ones because it's built it's downstairs and it's built like the walls are the Red Rocks.
Yeah. It's like a cave. Yeah.
That's like the kind of like the coolest one. But there was like a couple back in the day that had some weird ones, whatever. Never go in the green room hot tub.
Yeah, geez. Is that a thing? Are there green rooms that have hot tubs?
There are some, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
These poor bastards. What kind of bike do you ride?
It's interesting you say that because during the pandemic, I got a new bike.
Right.
I had a cruiser.
We don't have to dive deep into it.
I had a cruiser, but now I have a hybrid. And
Okay.
I'm trying to become a cyclist.
All right. Do you have what was the last gig that you played before the pandemic?
The last gig before the pandemic was it must have been a Galactic gig. I don't even remember, man. I don't know.
Well, obviously, I think it might have been y'all's Lundy Garage show.
Oh.
Was that the last in-person gig that you guys played?
Let's see, it's March.
I mean, before the pandemic, because as of this date, at least April 20th, you guys have played drive-in. You've done.
Yeah, we did. We've only done.
You just came from Florida.
Other than the stuff that we've done here without an audience, the drive-in in Florida are the only two we did. But I don't even remember what the last gig. That's how long it's been. Man.
All right, but you guys are about to set out on the road like for a little stretch, and
Yeah,
I don't know if this will come out on the internet before you guys hit the
Yeah.
road. Hopefully, we'll have it edited at least in time for while you're on the road. So
We had the bus at our studio.
yeah,
We were about to roll out and we canceled it, so we had sent the bus home. So
Yeah,
we were that close to going on the road.
yeah, it was. I saw your crew that night at a bar. It was like, hey guys,
Yeah.
thought you're leaving in like 5 hours to hit the road, probably
Yeah.
get some sleep. They're like, no, we got called earlier. We're canceled.
Yeah, it was a tough call, but
Yeah.
glad we did it though. Really, looking back.
Yeah, I mean, it happened here as well. But now that you guys are heading back out on the road, like, how is it? Is there the same excitement that there was a year and a half ago? And I don't even know, maybe after 25, 26 years in this band, is it still the same kind of excitement when you hit the road?
It's different, I mean, there's a lot of emotions now because it's, there's like fear involved now.
Yeah. This is a different. You guys are people. Well, and here's the other thing: people kind of look to you guys as. I'm not going to say heroes or icons, but like you've been doing this successfully now for 25 plus years. Like, in a same way to feed you a compliment about trying to handle ownership of a place like Tippatinas, like people look at you guys kind of like as leaders, I guess is the best word. So the fact that you guys are going out for a little while like this, like, shows a leap of faith, at least in the places you're going.
Yeah.
Well, it's strange to even consider that. It used to be just like, hey, everyone likes music. Let's go do that thing we do, which is play music in front of people. So
I mean, it's
your job has changed significantly.
It's changed.
And your expectations are exactly the same.
Yeah, it's changed. It's changed our whole business model too, really, because I think for us a little bit after just doing it for so long, and we were, I don't want to say like plug and play, but we were sort of making a lot of the same laps, the the same. We had our winter tour, our fall tour, our spring tour. We would hit sort of the same places, a lot of the same venues, and the way our business was structured. This whole thing sort of changed it all, you know, and hopefully for a positive, for longevity for our band. It's hard to be a band, you know, period, let alone for 30 years, you know, and get along with people and have it be worthwhile and still have it be exciting and fun, you know. And so this has changed everything. But I think ultimately, though, just taking a year off, which is what we got, hopefully, you know, we get back into it and we get back on the bus and we get back playing in front of people, you know, I think there's going to be a little bit of really good positive energy. I felt it this last show that we did this last weekend, which was our first out of town show since the pandemic. It was fun to be on stage. I mean, the traveling part was a little freaky. Was it? You know, it was, and I think that's always. I always kind of look at our job as a lot of that sometimes because, you know, we played on a Saturday. We left. I left Saturday morning. We caught 2 planes. Rented a car.
You flew same day.
Drove 2 hours, played a gig, turned around, drove 2 hours, got in the hotel, woke up early, caught another 2 planes. So it was like 4 planes, 4 hours of driving, and a rental car.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, you know, so it's like, in a way, it's just like that traveling part of it. Haven't really missed. But being on stage playing that show was fun as shit. Yeah. And like, and there was even things that happened musically that were exciting, you know? Like I saw dudes in my band do things that I haven't seen them do in a long time.
That's cool.
You know, so I was like, yeah, that's, you know, inspired me, and hopefully I did something I haven't done in a long time, you know. So that part of playing music I'm really excited about. And being in front of the crowd was really into it. It was really fun, you know. It's just that traveling shit.
Yeah, no.
You know?
That's going to be miserable no matter what. Traveling.
I always look at that's what I get paid to do, man.
Well,
that hour on stage is like, that's the gravy, you know. It's the rest of the day. You know?
Here's the reason. It's a job because, for that 90 minutes or so that you're actually performing, like, that's the fun part.
Yeah.
The rest of it's the job. You know, like just having to get to and from just to do that thing well, like that's exhausting.
Yeah. And when we're on the bus too, it's like, and not to complain about the bus because I know that that's super cushy, but it's still like there's just a lot of hours in the day that have nothing to do with the 2 hours that we play.
And normally you guys would have at least a few weeks before you had to be stuck on the road with each other in that same respect. It's like, oh, it's been a year. Oh, man, have you guys been living like this for a year? You know, like you've lost contact, at least not lost contact, but the familiarity is probably much different as well. We're going to wrap it up extremely soon.
Okay, no worries.
You mentioned food, and sorry, so you're going to be late.
No worries.
We talk about po' boys at the end of this program.
All right.
For the mere fact that I'm sure you've heard the story about how Guys has a po' boy that Stanton has the signature po' boy at Guys.
Oh, I know all about it.
Exactly. Okay, so I'll skip the story for you. Do you have a spot that you typically get po' boys that you would, you know, that's your go-to? And more specifically, after you answer that, you're going to have to create the Ben Ellman signature po' boy.
Well, Tank, there is an Ellman.
Okay.
I've been dying to tell you about
I'm glad I brought it up.
And guess where it is?
Where is it?
It's at Stein's.
Stein's Deli. Dan Stein.
Dan Stein.
Great American.
No, he might not admit it. He's actually the only guy now because you remember Andre?
I do.
Used to work with. Okay, Andre liked my sandwich.
All right.
And
I've been, before you tell me what it is, like, you're kind of explaining whatever my dream thought was. I went to Stein's the first week it opened when he had 4 items on the shelf, and he was there by himself. I asked for a Reuben, and he threw me together what was basically a Reuben. And then I went back a week later and asked for another Reuben, and he gave me a completely different sandwich. And it happened like that for the first 6 months they were open. I used to live in that neighborhood when it was brand new. So sorry.
I love Stein's.
Go ahead.
And I love
I've
Dan.
I've been praying for the day because I love him, and they've turned it into a good operation. I'm talking too long.
No,
I've always wondered what my signature sandwich at Stein's would be. Not po' boy place. This is deli specific. Go ahead, Ben.
So Stein,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No worries. Stein, Andre, he probably won't admit the sandwich. Stein never liked my sandwich.
Okay.
So if you go and you try to order my sandwich from Stein, which you should, and you could just go, I would like an Ellman. If you talk to Stein.
Okay.
The other guys, I don't know all the new employees so well, but if you talk to Stein, if you order an Ellman, he will balk at you. He'll be like, oh, you want that piece of sandwich.
All right.
Andre would be happy to sell it to you. Stanton Moore orders it all the time.
Okay, and he lives right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what it is an open face whitefish sandwich with bacon.
What?
Yes, whitefish with bacon. However, it could be lox. It's the same concept. It's smoked fish and bacon.
What kind of bread?
A bagel.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
It's a bagel. So it's an open face
Is that
bagel.
what you get every Sunday?
I do not order the Ellman very regularly.
I was gonna say that sounds fun.
I did for a long time.
I can't believe you would
I
let
did
that
for a
be
long
your-
time.
your
I did for a long time.
signature.
However, I do part
That's
of my
your namesake at Stein's. That is not what I was hoping for. Sorry.
What do you
Go
mean
ahead.
bacon on? It's
On
like you know-
whitefish? Like, come on, that's not that.
Have you had a whitefish sandwich? You know, so Dan Stein has the whitefish salad, which is an Acme brand, which comes from New York. It's one
Okay.
of his imports, which is it is the best whitefish salad that's out there.
Okay.
So at least like it's kind of like he gets the best whitefish there is, and he has Benton's bacon over there too. You know
Okay.
Benton's bacon.
The bacon there is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's it's like a Jew sandwich with bacon, which is some would say not right, but
Not okay.
Yeah.
I don't prescribe to that.
Yeah.
That
But it's
kashrut
another.
lifestyle.
You could
Yeah.
put that bacon on a lox sandwich too.
No,
Have you ever had bacon on lox?
I have. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's smoky on
I
smoky.
was waiting for some crazy sandwich to come out. To be honest,
What would your sandwich be at Stein's?
we're not doing that here. I'm not comfortable recording that on camera.
Okay.
Ben Ellman, you've been so generous with your time. My goodness. All your friends are going to be so mad at me for keeping you behind.
No, it's been fun. I'm just sorry we didn't finish our
Yeah,
test
yeah.
game.
This was a joke. Also,
Truthfully, it's hard to figure out what these pieces are, but thank you for bringing it.
We'll come back and try this again in a real way.
Yeah.
At least like a game of chess sometime. Thank you so much for your time, but no one leaves empty-handed.
I've been
You,
waiting
Ben
for
Ellman, are the certificate or the recipient of a certificate suitable for framing. If you wouldn't mind reading that, and I'll give you a folder so you don't lose
Certificate
this.
suitable for framing for participation in the All Right broadcast. We hereby certify that you, Ben Ellman, are officially awesome for being interviewed on this day, April 20th, 2021, for absolutely no monetary compensation whatsoever. Congratulations and you're welcome.
Thank you so much. That was.
Thank you,
that was
man.
great.
It's been fun, man.
Yeah, dude. I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, any parting words for my mother? For anyone who tuned in late. If she made it to the end, sorry,
I'll just
Mom.
say happy
This is-
birthday.
Thanks. My birthday was like 7 weeks ago, but that's all right. We finally got to do this. Thank you so much. I think I won my bet with Ace. Speaking of which, thank you so much to Ace over here for filling in on audio for us while the great Pete Jones is on sabbatical. Tanner Logan upstairs controlling the cameras and turning on the lights for us. Nick Logan for doing the editing and executive producing. And Marvin for helping out, trying to get all these interviews done well as well.
Thank you.
Seriously,
Tank.
Ben Ellman, thank
That's
you.
great, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate
a pleasure. Oh, thank you to Nugs.net for letting us use the equipment, and thank you to Tippatinas for letting us use the space. If you want a sticker, send me an actual letter to the All Right broadcast, care of Tippatinas, 501 Napoleon Avenue, New Orleans, Louisiana, 70115, and we will do that. Thank you so much for watching. Ben Ellman, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Right on.
Thanks, man. Sorry I went off the rails there.